Okay. Excuse me. We are live. Yo, yo, yo. What is good, everybody? It is the godfather of VR, the ageless wonder, the man Lincoln Clay coming back at you with a live stream. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Did Twitter blow up today? And I had to get this out today because starting tomorrow, I go back to working 10 hours, and that means I'm going to be very exhausted. So I don't know if I'll be able to do something again until, like, say, Saturday after today. So I needed to get this out today. Um, as you guys know, Twitter is on fire, and you guys know why. We got confirmation that Horizon Zero Dawn is going to PC natively, and not just by way of PlayStation Now. I mean, I guess if you were gonna do it, you needed to do it right. I'll start off by saying that, because with the honestly, who was gonna play this game? Through PlayStation Now, PC gamers had the ability to stream this game in 720p. Now, who do you know in their right mind is going to stream a game like that with that low of quality? When they got $2,000-3,000 rigs, virtually nobody. So, the PC gamers were going to want the best version of this game, and now it looks like they're going to get it. So, and after Detroit Become Human went to PC, and then we had learned that Death Stranding was going to go to PC. Voidcat, what's up? I started wondering. I started posing the question. Just a minute. This light's kind of shining in my face. Let me change the lighting. Give me a second. Okay, that's a little bit better. At night, not that bright light shining in my face. What's up? What's up, golfer? So, after Detroit Become Human went to PC, and Death Stranding was confirmed to go to PC, I started posing the question: would Sony send their VR exclusives over to PC? And when I first posed that question, Batman Arkham is already on PC. I believe that game started out on the PlayStation VR, and it eventually made its way to PC. I didn't think anything of it when that happened because Voidcat, I'm taking a break from the VR link right now. I haven't been there in I think over a month. I've talked about that a couple of times, and I guess that's the fastest way to sum it up is that I'm taking a break right now. At some point, I do plan to get in touch with Gamertag. I mean, I still watch his streams. I'm still in the chat on his streams. I'm still in contact with Nat of 7 Degrees of Gaming and Salsa Ketchup, and at some point I will get in touch with those guys and talk to them about coming back to the show in a limited capacity, and if they want me back, then we'll go from there. But right now I'm taking a break, and I would probably say from a fatigue standpoint, I do need this break because I sleep a lot because of how much I work, and I'm the type of person that at any given moment I could take a nap and be knocked out for 5, 6, 7 hours. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes you guys may not see me putting out content during the weekend. You may not see it until the weekend. And so, no, it's no problem, Voidcat. Not a problem at all. So getting back to VR games going to PC, when Batman VR went to PC, I didn't think anything of it because the first thing that hit my head was that it was probably a timed exclusive. So I didn't think anything of that. Riyadh, what's going on? I don't trust Sony about exclusive. Yeah, I would get how you feel that way. So, and it's funny that just yesterday I made a post because we just learned that like there's a VR game. There was a PlayStation VR exclusive, a game called Persistence. It is a horror game. So I don't think the game. It wasn't a bad game. I didn't finish the game, but it wasn't a bad game. And as far as graphics goes, I think it was one of the better games on the PlayStation VR. Now myself, I don't think the game did too well because the game went flat screen. So after the game was built from the ground up for VR, I believe, and the game eventually went flat screen. So my thought was, okay, the game must not have did very well. They got to try to recoup the money from this game, so they're going to go flat screen with it. So, and I think somewhere within that window, Space Junkies by Ubisoft, another VR game that was built from the ground up, which is actually a pretty good game, but Ubisoft, in my opinion, screwed up the launch of that game by being greedy by trying to charge $40 for this game, and they were going to try to turn it into a service-based game, and that did not work out. So they made a multitude of moves to try to build up a user base for this game. But I just don't think the game ever recovered from that bad launch. So that game eventually went flat screen. So now I started getting this impression that, okay, this is the route that we're going to be going, that whenever a game fails in VR, they're going to go flat screen with the game to try to recoup some of the money it costs to develop this game. So the Persistence going to PC. I mean, I didn't know about it going to PC. I did know about the game going flat screen. So the game's going flat screen on PS4. I believe it's gonna be on Xbox and Switch also. I'm not surprised that the game is going to PC, but I was not aware of the game going to PC. And I came across an article yesterday that yes, the VR version of that game, a Sony exclusive, is going to PC. And so now that question starts to burn into my head even more. Is Sony going to be sending their games, flat screen and VR games, over to PC? And the Persistence makes the fourth game that I am aware of that started out on PlayStation VR and then went to PC, because we had Batman Arkham, we have a game called Megalith that was a PlayStation exclusive. That's going to PC. We have the Persistence going to PC, and we also had another PlayStation exclusive called Ghost Giant that is going to PC. So that's 4 titles that I'm aware of that started out on PlayStation. I'm not saying that they were PlayStation exclusives. Now, the article that I read, one of the articles that I came across, they called the Persistence a PlayStation exclusives. The other title, wait a minute, I believe Ghost Giant was probably a PlayStation exclusive, but just so I don't get corrected and all this kind of stuff, I'm just saying that they started out on PlayStation rather than calling them PlayStation exclusives, and they made their way to PC. So, and ain't that funny? And I made that post yesterday, and then today, Twitter was on absolute fire about Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC. So we know there are some people upset about it. And I'm going to be, I think we're going to do the roundtable tonight, and we're going to talk about this as well. So that's another reason why I had to, get this out of the way, so I can be clear for the roundtable when we go live there. But I think what I'm going to talk about is what kind of effect that I think this is going to have on the PC landscape, gamers in general, and how I think that this game going to PC is going to affect the VR landscape. Starting with me, how does this game going to PC affect me? In the short term, it does not affect me, because Great Tantrum, vice versa, PC VR games made its way to PlayStation VR too. Yeah, but see, a lot of these PC games that made their way to PlayStation VR were never exclusive to begin with. And not only that, there's a lot of games on PC that people want on PlayStation VR, but because of the limitations of the hardware, they may not get it until the PS5 comes out. Because I expect when the PS5 comes out, I expect games like Pavlov. I expect games like hell, even Half-Life Alyx. I wouldn't be surprised if that makes it to PlayStation VR once the PS5 comes out, because you'll have a console that should have enough power to handle it. So yeah, yep, Golfer, I had just mentioned that about the persistence going to PlayStation VR. So getting back to how Horizon Zero Dawn, whether or not that affects me going to PC in the short term, it does not affect me, because I've said this several times that right now I'm in a holding pattern, and that hasn't changed as far as the PS5 goes. I'm in a holding pattern because I'm waiting for confirmation on GT7. I'm waiting for confirmation of GT7 being a launch game, day and date beside the console or the PS5. I'm waiting for confirmation of GT7 being VR multiplayer, because the game is supposed to have full VR support, but that is not enough. I need details besides that. So I need confirmation that this game is going to have VR multiplayer, and I need confirmation that this game is going to have the ability to race against a full grid even when you're not online. If any of those things are not confirmed, I will not be picking up a PlayStation 5 day one. And even if but this move right here, Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC, this could affect me in the long term. And I say that because even if I do get a PS5, doesn't mean that I'll keep it. Because if I go off and buy a PS5 and then Sony turns around and put GT7 on PC, right then and there, that PS5 is going up for sale on Craigslist. Because at that point, I won't need it anymore, because right there, it'll be cut in stone that, PlayStation exclusives are going to be going to PC. 1 second here, folks. Let me turn on a little bit of air. So, great tantrum. Personally, I'm not worried about games being released to PC. In fact, it should help boost VR popularity. Yeah. Absolutely. So before I come back to how it's going to affect the VR community, so now we got Horizon Zero Dawn, Death Stranding, Detroit Become Human going to PC. Not buying the PS5 right now from the news today. Yeah, well, like I said, Kuhn, I'm in a holding pattern right now. So the news of Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC does not affect my stance on the PS5, because I had already did a podcast a few days ago talking about that I'm in a holding pattern on the PS5 until I get confirmation of the things that I'm looking for on GT7. If I don't get confirmation of those things, or the game doesn't launch day and date beside the console, I won't be getting the PS5 day one. And as I just said a second ago, even if I do get the console, it doesn't guarantee that I'm going to keep it, because if I get the PS5 for GT7, and then Sony turns around and send the game to PC a year or 6 months later or something like that, I'm selling that PS5, because there won't be any reason for me to have it. So, great tantrum. I guess what some people worry about, that the PlayStation will become just another Xbox where you may not need the PS5. That very well could happen, because it's like, it's like sick, and a lot of people were saying that they see this as a test, and if it works, if it works out, then yeah, it's not gonna be a situation where people are gonna have to wait 2 or 3 years to get these PlayStation exclusives. Now Sick Humor, he did a podcast earlier today. Big shout out to Sick Humor, because he did mention about how he thinks moves like this could convert people from console gamers to PC gamers, with me being one of them, because he talked about how my entire library is an archive of information of how I made the transformation from a console gamer to PC, and 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 I'll say that again. My transition from console to PC was all about what PlayStation VR lacked, and not so much about what PC VR offered. I guess to use a restaurant comparison, I like pizza, I like lasagna. McDonald's doesn't have it, so I go down the street because I hear about a restaurant that's got pizza and lasagna. So I go check that restaurant out. Turns out this restaurant is actually a buffet. And they got pizza, they got lasagna, and they got a ton of other stuff too. So for the same price of what you would pay for an extra value meal at McDonald's, I have access to more food than my eyes will allow me to see because I'm at a buffet now. So why would I go back to McDonald's? And that's somewhat the situation with me in VR. I've said it before, the PlayStation VR was lacking multiplayer games. They were lacking first-person shooters. They were lacking sim racers. And those were the three key things that I was looking for in VR. And I found them in PC along with a ton of other stuff too, because there's an entire, the world is so much bigger over on PC. So that's what made my transition over to PC. So big shout out to Sick Humor for pointing out that I made that transition. Coon, you said you and I both of us don't need the console, then I won't buy the console. Great tantrum. Here's the deal: PS5 versus PC. If it comes down to it, the cost alone might keep many from the PC to build and buy a comparable powerful PC to that of the PS5 might cause people to buy PS5. Now this is where I'm going to come around to that great tantrum, because this is where I think games like Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC could have an effect on the PC community. This is me on the VR community. I'll get to that in a second. So now, so getting back to what made me bring up Sick Humor was he was wondering that out of all the games that Sony has, why send Horizon Zero Dawn to PC and not one of the other games? And my thinking is that if you're going to take this venture, put your best foot forward. Out of all the PC, out of all the Sony exclusives that people don't really play anymore, Horizon Zero Dawn is arguably the biggest title. So, to use a sports term, if you're going to go into a playoff game where it's basically an elimination round, you're going to put your starters in there. You're not going to put your second or third string in there. So you're not going to put, you're not going to send Killzone over there for your first PC release. You're not going to send something like Killzone over there. It's a good game, but that's not enough to draw a bunch of PC people in. Now you send Horizon Zero Dawn over there, or even the first, The Last of Us. You send one of those over there, then yeah, that could have a big impact. And so if with Horizon Zero Dawn going over to PC, people are going to have the best version of this game. But the game looks so tremendous on the PS4. I don't know how much more of a difference it's going to make on PC, except for the fact that you'll be able to run the game at a higher frame rate. But as far as resolution and graphics goes, I don't know how much of an improvement is going to be, because the game already looks amazing on the PS4 Pro. So, but if this game takes off, and sells like hotcakes on PC, it begs the question, would Sony send God of War or Spider-Man over there? Now, if people feel this way about Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC, what if they were sending Spider-Man over there right now instead of Horizon Zero Dawn? That would cause a seismic shift in the gaming community. Everything would go like this. It would, it would just tilt sideways, and a bunch of bodies would just go sliding off the edge of the earth. Great tantrum. I hear Sony promises plan to make and release exclusives for PS5. Horizon Zero Dawn or Death Stranding may come to PC, but what about sequels? And there are so many other franchises from Sony. I think right now, with the plan, to me, the plan appears to be that games that we are getting this generation, single player games, if they, after they're about 2 or 3 years old and nobody's really playing them anymore, then they'll go to PC. If Sony were to dare go that route and release like PS5 games day and date over on PC, I don't think they would dare do something like that for another 2 or 3 years. For one thing, because for starters, like, people have been saying, Sony's still trying to sell the PS5. Microsoft doesn't need to sell the Xbox Series X. So the last thing you need to do, the light at the end of the tunnel is the PS5. The last thing you need is people traveling down that tunnel and seeing games like Spider-Man or God of War over here, at this intersection or at this intersection, because then people are going to put on the brakes and go play the games there instead of going to the end of this tunnel and going to the PS5. So I think Sony, if this is the route they're going to go, I think they're going to tread lightly about doing it, because this would, as everybody would figure, this would devalue the PS5. I mean, I had already felt like Sony was taking his first step towards devaluing the PS5 when they allowed crossplay. I was like, when Sony gave in to crossplay, I was mad, because I was like, number one, you are devaluing the console by doing that. Number two, you are going to be stifling sales, because a game like Call of Duty, for instance, somebody has the game on the Xbox, but they want to play with their PlayStation friends. Well, guess what? Now you got to get a PlayStation and you got to get a copy of the game over there. But by allowing crossplay, that person that had it on his Xbox that would have been willing to buy a PlayStation, now you just lost a PlayStation 4 sale, and you just lost a sale of the game itself. And you lost sales of future microtransactions and future DLCs. So, to me, by allowing crossplay, I felt like you stifle sales of the console. So I was mad at that. Also, was mad that I felt like Sony was bitches by giving in to Microsoft. I felt like they caved into the pressure of Microsoft going on a smear campaign to vilify them and make them out to be the bad guy for not giving in to crossplay. And then the media jumped on board and helped Microsoft vilify them. So I was mad at that they gave in to all that shit. And then and to me, it also set the tone that by giving in the crossplay, and now by them getting ready to, with them sending these games from the PlayStation over to PC, I guess maybe we were wrong. Maybe the Cleveland Browns can show the New England Patriots how to win, because that's what we had. It was like, that was the kind of the narrative that a lot of people were saying. Is, since when did the New England Patriots listen to the Cleveland Browns? It's, well, shit, now it might be looking like they might be going down that route, which is like, to me, that's like, I guess I get it that these games are dead, and they probably want to try to find some way to further monetize these games and cast out a wider net. I get that, but this move just still feels like it's got the Microsoft stench on it. It still feels like Microsoft influenced this move, because it comes on the heels of Microsoft being blatant about all their games going to PC. So, Coon, maybe Horizon Zero Dawn is going because of the Decima engine, like other games that want PC this gen. Great tantrum. The best way to win your opponent is to get in their head. when they gave in a crossplay great tantrum, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, are y'all scared of Microsoft or something? Are y'all scared of this media? And I was like, the PlayStation brand is so successful that no matter how much dirt gets thrown on them, it's not going to slow them down next generation. I was like, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep bringing us these great exclusives, and in these games being the reason why you need a PlayStation. I figured if they keep going that route, no matter what the media says or no matter what Microsoft says about them, it's not going to slow them down. They're still going to be successful. But now, shit. Even though this game is 3 years old and people are talking about, it doesn't affect you, blah, 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 all this kind of shit, it's already had an impact. Because today people are already saying that they're waiting. Now, they're not. Now people are saying they're not going to buy the PS5 day one. And Sony's got to know that by now because they know what's going on Twitter. They following this shit. So you can tell people all you want that this doesn't affect you, but obviously they feel that it does because people are saying that I'm not going to get the PlayStation day one. So now, to me, the situation of after Ghost of Tsushima is out of the way and Sony starts dumping a bunch of information on us about the PS5, to me, it's going to turn into a situation of Sony having to explain to us why we should stay in your ecosystem rather than why we should be excited about this console. So, I mean, I'm not upset about it. Fine. I'll just go ahead and play it, on PC. But from the flat screening standpoint, doesn't affect me at all whatsoever. Because it's, I already said, like 95% of why I'm looking to get the PS5 is because of VR. And from the and then GT7 is a huge reason why I plan on where I'm considering getting the console day one, because going back to 2013 when both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 launched, excuse me, I was caught between trying to decide, do I want the PS4 because of MLB The Show, or do I want the Xbox, which I knew was going to be trash because I want to game with my Xbox friends. But two things happened that swayed me in the direction of the PlayStation. My Xbox friend said we're not getting PlayStations. My own cousin even said that we're not getting PlayStations. If you want to play with us, you're going to have to get an Xbox. Like it was an ultimatum. Nah, I'm good, cuz. I'm going to go ahead and get this Xbox. And then the other thing was when Donnie D opened his mouth. Even if he was telling the truth, and here it is years later, people are trying to, give him admiration for being brutally honest, even if it's stung, but it's still stung nonetheless. You telling me, if I want to, game online, if you want to avoid getting your Xbox bricked because you don't do the 24-hour check-in, we got a device for that. It's called the 360. No, cuz I'm good. Let me go ahead and get this PlayStation. And a big reason for that was because of MLB The Show. After MLB The Show, there was no game. I'd probably say MLB The Show and probably Killzone were the two games that I was looking for at the beginning of the life cycle of this console. So now, how could this affect other flat screen gamers? Let me use myself as the example, and let's take the VR aspect out of this. Let's say I'm a flat screen gamer, and now that I explained to you guys how much I had loved MLB The Show for so many years, MLB The Show was the biggest reason why I bought a PS3, and it's the biggest reason why I bought a PS4. So now we know that starting next year, MLB The Show is going to other platforms. It's going to go to the Xbox. I'm led to believe if they can find a way to make it work, they're going to send it to the Switch. and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to PC. So now let's take the VR aspect out of this, and let's say that I'm strictly a flat gamer, and my favorite game on the PlayStation brand is MLB The Show. If I find out that MLB The Show next year goes to PC as well as other formats, dead right there. The PS5 is dead. I'm not getting the PS5. There's no reason for me to get it because I can get it on PC. That's what kind of effect that games like Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC, that's how that can affect the brand, because they think that because Sony's sending a 3-year-old game to PC, that this is going to be their pattern, is that they're going to wait until games fizzle out and then send them over there. We don't know that. So, like people are speculating, if this takes off and it's a huge hit with PC gamers, it may not be a 2 or 3 year wait, but there probably is some people that might be willing to wait 2 or 3 years to get it. And then the other thing is, other than that Godfall, we got no information on games coming up on PlayStation. I mean, we know that Guerrilla Games is working on something. It is a given that at some point Sucker Punch is going to get to work on the next Spider-Man game. I think it's a given that not Sucker Punch, Insomniac, and it's probably a given that they're probably going to start working on a VR project for Sony as well. But as far as actual games that we know are coming to the PS5, Godfall is the only thing that we know about. We don't know anything else after that. We just know that studios are working on projects and we don't know what they are. So as far as I'm concerned, after Godfall, we do not have a roadmap of what kind of games we can expect for the PS5. And that's another thing that might have people in a holding pattern. And then you want to throw this shit on top of it, Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC. Let me come back to a couple of these comments real quick. Let's see. Great Tantrum. If people see PlayStation exclusives go to PC, they might forget PS5 and just go to PC, specifically those who have the bank to do so. Sony needs to give us a good reason why we need a PlayStation 5. Yeah, alluding to what I just said right there. So when Sony starts dumping all this information on us about the PS5, it's not going to be, why you should be excited about what's about this console. It's going to turn into an election campaign of them trying to explain to you why you should stay on board with them. So, Golfer, if PSVR isn't wireless, it might go on the back burner for a while. Yeah, that's very well possible too. But you know what? But I do have a huge concern that even if Sony does come out with a wireless headset, being that this is going to be, it would be the first of its kind of a wireless headset, being wirelessly tethered to a console. This would be a first. So, what's the response time going to be? Is there going to be latency? Is this going to be if we have latency between the console and the headset, that's not going to be good, because another thing about Sony is they have proven that when they have problems with their hardware, it doesn't get fixed until the next iteration comes out. Because when some of these issues come up with the PlayStation, they don't send updates through to fix it. It doesn't get fixed until the next console comes out. Case in point, the party chat. That was the big advantage that the 360 had over the PlayStation 3 was party chat. Sure, the PS3 had video party chat, but they did not have voice party chat. And that was the advantage that the 360 had over them. And Sony knew that, and they kind of teased us, for a couple of years. Every time a new update was coming out, Sony would make a big announcement like this is going to be the update where you guys finally get voice chat, and it would never happen. All they would be like stability fixes, So they played with our heads and bullshitted us with that. And then when the PS4 came out and it finally did get party chat, then it comes out of the bushes that the hardware made it physically impossible for Sony to put voice party chat into the console. So that gave me the impression that whenever there's a problem with the PlayStation, a serious problem, that it's a hardware problem and it's not going to get fixed until the next console comes out. So with that being said, to make a VR headset, wirelessly tethered to a console, if this shit does not work the way it's supposed to, the problem might not get fixed until another console comes along. Look at the situation we're dealing with right now. How people complain, how people complaining on Firewall about the drifting of that aim controller. Sony hasn't said a damn word about that shit yet, and we know that shit is going on. YouTubers have tried to come up with solutions. People making all kinds of videos about what you can do to fix the drift on the aim controller. Sony ain't said a damn word about that shit. So that tells me right there that the drifting problem that goes on with that aim controller is not going to get fixed until the PS5 comes along. So because of that, I'm a little apprehensive about a wireless headset being wirelessly tethered to a console. I would still opt for the cord. So if Sony's going to do that route, if they're going to go that route with a wireless headset, I would prefer they give you the option of using the cord as well. So just straight wireless where you just, you don't have the option of using cord. No, that may not fly with me. I may not buy the new headset if they go that route. I might just stick with the current PSVR headset. Coon, when it comes to this console war, I'm a mercenary. Give me the better deal, and I'm on your side. If I can play Xbox and PlayStation games on PC and better, deuces consoles. Hey, absolutely. And everybody have already come to this. Everybody have already accept the fact that if Sony goes this Microsoft route, they're already talking about they're either going to start playing their games on their PC or they're going to build one. And when Sick had his podcast, there are those that seem to think that people won't spend the money to buy a PC, that they won't go from console gamer to PC, and I'm living proof that I did go from console gamer to PC. So now, and I'm glad I made that move. I mean, look how much money I told you guys that I spent on PCs between, the PCs that I had, the PC that I bought for my son, all the headsets that I bought, and the PC that I bought my son was money well spent. He barely touches his Xbox anymore. He kind of uses his Xbox for the same reason that I use my Xbox, and that's to watch YouTube. My Xbox is in the bedroom. I don't play games on it. I just use it to watch YouTube. So, shit, as it stands, my PlayStation Pro isn't even getting that much work. So, because I already played Blood and Truth, which is a great game, but I already played through the entire game. So at this point right now, Firewall is really the only game that halfway keeps me coming back. But every time I put on that headset and pull out that aim controller, the minute it starts drifting, I shut the game off right then and there because I'm about to get pissed. That's one of the reasons why you guys don't see me doing that many Firewall streams anymore, because the minute that aim controller starts drifting, I get irritated and I shut it off. So because of that, I don't really use my PlayStation Pro that much anymore. Who you calling a geezer? Gamer Tag, what's going on? How you doing, my man? Riyadh Dewan, we're starting to believe that, though. And Great Tantrum, the PSVR 2 for me should be not necessarily a hybrid system. Wired, wireless, HMD, kind of like the Quest. Sony needs to answer Oculus. If they want to, boy. See, I don't know if I can see Sony. Like, it would be cool. It would be cool if Sony went that route, if they went the hybrid route where you have a wireless headset, this like a Quest type standalone when it's wireless, and then you you connect it to the console, whether it's wirelessly or wired, then it turns into like a PC type of headset. That would be cool, but what about the games? I mean, are you gonna have to make two versions of the game? Like a game like Firewall, for instance, are you going to need to make a watered down version of the game for the standalone portion of this PSVR headset, and then have to make another version of the game for the for the console version of it, if they had to go that route, that's a lot of money that they would have to put into it. Golf or Firewall is my main game for PSVR. I still love Firewall. I just get irritated like a MFer when I once that aim controller starts turning sideways. It pisses me off. Gamertag, good to see and hear from you again. Absolutely. And that surgical VR game that you were doing, man, I couldn't watch the whole video because all I could think about is if I was on that operating table and I wasn't sedated and that knife goes up my knee like that and cut it open, and then a drill going in there and, you know, bone chips probably flying out of that knee, blood all over the place. It's so, yeah, I mean, and then you're whining and crying and shit. That made it hard to watch that video too. So yeah, I couldn't watch the whole thing because all I could think about was me being on that operating table like that. Great tantrum. It is true that people are tired of the hardware limitations. The light-based tracking is okay at best. Plus, of late, PC VR are getting games that make PSVR game looks pathetic. Sony is behind, yeah. And then there's a situation that Anthony of VR 365 was talking about. The conundrum that he was talking about is what happens when PlayStation VR 2 comes out, when you have a whole different set of controllers. What are developers going to do? Are they going to have to do a lot of extra work in optimizing and mapping out these controllers for the new headset, but then still have to come back and do it for the old headset? You know, how's that going to turn out? Is Sony going to go down this Microsoft route where nobody gets left behind? So any game that gets made for PS5, it has to work on the PS4. If they go that route, I'm done with PlayStation VR because you will have handicapped the VR. Case in point, when GT7 comes out, right? I'm kind of expecting it to have VR multiplayer, which GT Sport does not have. It has VR time trials, and it has 101 versus the PC, versus the AI. Now, when PS5 comes out and GT7 comes out, if Sony tells Digital Polyphony that you must make this game run on PC, PS4 as well, then they're probably not going to be able to put the VR multiplayer in this game, and it might be the same shit that we're getting on GT Sport. If they go that route, that PS5 is going on Craigslist, and I'm selling it. So even though Sony brought us where we're at with VR, we can demand better. And so, great tantrum. Agreed, Kevin. Is why I say it is okay at best. And Kevin, only thing that properly tracks for me on the PSVR is the HMD. Yeah. And that drifting issue is not just limited to the aim controller. I played games like Tetris Effect, which you can use the DualShock 4 on. That game has drifted on me. I found myself turning sideways like this because the screen kept, rotating on me. Drive Club VR, that game was drifting on me. I had a racing wheel, and the game was drifting on me. Next thing you know, I was turning sideways, and then it was like to the point where I'm damn near looking out the back window, but I'm still trying to play this game and still trying to drive it. So that drift issue is not an aim controller problem. This drift issue with PlayStation VR, to me, is either a problem with the camera or a problem with the console. But either way, I don't expect it to get fixed until the PS5 comes out. So now that we got all that out of the way, let's talk about how I think games like Horizon Zero Dawn will impact the VR community. Riyadh Dewan, after I come back from Bangladesh, I missed the food and it was fresh and no chemicals. Yeah, America wrote the book of putting chemicals in their foods and steroids and shit like that. So now, hardcore VR people like myself, like Gamertag, we are basically the Jehovah Witnesses of VR. We are the guys that go door to door, knocking on people's door, trying to get them to convert and get on board with VR. And for those who have not gotten on board with VR yet, we've gotten a multitude of reasons why. Well, I'll think about it when it becomes wireless. We got the Oculus Quest out there now, and that's on, we know that's on fire. They can't keep up with demand. We've got other excuses where people say, well, when we get games like God of War or Spider-Man or Horizon Zero Dawn in VR, then I'll think about it. And that very well could happen because, VR, there are vultures within the VR community. And when I say vultures, I mean there are some talented people out there just waiting to get their hands on some of these flat screen games so they can add a VR mod to it. Even today, my friend Paradise Decay did a premiere of Metro Exodus, fully playable in VR. He was playing the Epic Store version of the game, but not the Steam version. We are getting a lot of games where people are modding these VR games. Like Alien Isolation, that's a game that got modded for VR, and I'm talking about like single people doing this. And the same person that modded that game is working on Halo Reach for VR. Just last week, a Halo Combat Evolve, a mod just came out to play Halo Combat Evolve in VR. We got Grand Theft Auto fully playable in VR. Grand Theft Auto 5. What other games? We've gotten some Star Trek. We've gotten some Star Trek mods where CBS stepped in and told them to take it down or get sued. What else? We got like the Half-Life games. Half-Life, is playable on the Oculus Quest. Half-Life 2, is playable in VR because I set that mod up for my son to play it on my computer. So there's a lot of people that's waiting to get their hands on some of these flat screen AAA games and add a VR mod to it. And I think if they can make it happen, a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, Death Stranding, and hell, if God of War, or shit, even Spider-Man. If Spider-Man were to come to PC, I promise you, somebody is going to work day and night to try to figure out a VR mod for that. So, Death Stranding, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Spider-Man, all those games come to PC. Somebody's going to find a way to put a VR mod on one of those games. And so sticking with this game as the example, if somebody were to figure out how to, add a VR mod to this game, that might be enough to make some people run out and buy a PC and make and them buy a headset. It might, the amount of people that might do it might only be this small, but it still would be enough to get a couple of people to get on board with VR. So in that aspect, its effect, on VR would be small, but it would still be in effect, no less. But make no mistake, if somebody makes a VR mod for Horizon Zero Dawn, Sony, I don't think is going to get in the way of it because I think prime example of what I'm talking about is the situation with Grand Theft Auto getting a VR mod. I find it's not a coincidence. Rockstar knows what the hell is going on with the VR landscape. Hell, they did, LA Noire in VR. But as far as Grand Theft Auto goes, when the guy came out with the VR mod for Grand Theft Auto, the game suddenly came up on sale on Steam. So the game was $15 on Steam. A couple months later, the guy made an improvement to the VR mod on Grand Theft Auto, and I guess the improvement that he made was that black box was gone during the cutscenes. So it made the game, a little more immersive during the cutscenes. What happened? The game turned up on sale on Steam again. This time I bought it. So if somebody were to make a VR mod for Horizon Zero Dawn, Sony's not going to get in the way of it because some of us VR people are going to go out and buy Horizon Zero Dawn just to be able to play it in VR. And for Sony, that's free money for them because You let somebody else do the work of putting the VR mod on this game, and you get the sales from people buying the game so they can play it in VR. So, that's the effect that I think, Horizon Zero Dawn and other Sony exclusives coming to VR could have. Let's see here. Great Tantrum. The drift is horrible. I sat there and watched the screen slowly move one direction to the other. Absolutely. Riyadh Dewan. I'm from England. I never knew that. But how you doing, mate? Great Tantrum. PSVR also suffer for me this drunk effect where the whole game seems to wobble. It sucks. I hate to say that, as I love PlayStation VR. There's a few things of it, and then the blur on some of these PlayStation VR games is a case-by-case basis. Some of them are absolutely awful, like Anthony of VR 365 said. Some of these games look like somebody took some Vaseline and smeared it all over the screen. The blur is so bad. Like Drive Club being a prime example. That the blur on that game is absolutely awful to the point where it's damn near unplayable. Some games are not so bad. Up close, shit that you see up close is razor sharp on PlayStation VR. It's just as sharp as PC. But in the distance, that blur is awful on some of those games. Great Tantrum memory reminds me of the old movie films where you see the whole image wobble around. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. And Golfer, you said Vorpex is growing and improving with the VR mod ability. Yeah, yep, definitely. I've been kind of hearing little tidbits of this Vorp stuff. So, excuse me, everybody. So it's going to be interesting. I think if Spider-Man or God of War were to go to PC, we're going to hear about it within the next year. And I think if that happens, assuming it happens, say, hey, bots, what's up, Cold Yogurt? If that happens, so let's say this time next year, Sony announces that God of War or Spider-Man is going to PC. That's it. The PS5 is going to struggle moving forward because now you sent a message to everybody that if you're willing to wait a couple of years, you won't need a PS5 to play these games. You can play them on your PC. So it's 7 o'clock. I don't know. I'm hoping to get a little bit of gaming in, most notably to jump on the racing sim so I can get some more practice in. Because I just want to remind everybody again that 24 Hours of Le Mans is I think the second weekend in June. The weekend before that, I'm going to do a 24-lap race in honor of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I think it's the greatest race in the world. And that's what I'm going to be doing that weekend, is watching that race. So I'm going to do a 24-lap race the week before, and I'm going to stream it, and I'm going to add pit stops and all that stuff to it. And so I've been practicing because I've turned the AI and the opponent's skill level and aggression, up quite a bit to the point where I can't afford to make any mistakes in order to have a chance to win. So make sure you check me out when I do that. So that's what I've been doing with the sim races. I've been trying to practice on that. I've been trying to work on my braking points. I've been trying to pay attention to the markers, taking tighter lines and getting out of corners faster. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. But I guess while we're on the subject of sim races, I will say this. I think that in a couple of years, let's say in a couple of years, Sony were to send GT7 over to PC, I think it would take the crown from iRacing as far as Sims goes. Because right now, on the PC landscape, iRacing is the king of the hill when it comes to sim racers. And Twitch is proof of that. You type in iRacing, and you browse iRacing, and you see hundreds, maybe even a couple of thousand people playing iRacing. But all the other sims, Assetto Corsa might only have 50 people playing. GT Sport might only have 8 people playing, and then when you go inside of it, you see 3 people streaming the game. One person's got 2 viewers, another person's got 3. That kind of stuff. So iRacing is definitely the king of the mountain when it comes to sim racing on PC. I think it's ridiculous to pay $15 for a car, $13 for a track, individually, and then you have to maintain a subscription in order to use the stuff. So I have to pass on iRacing. It's cool to watch, but I'm not buying it. But I do think if GT7 were to come to PC in a couple of years, whatever the case may be, I think it will unseat iRacing as the best sim racer out there on PC. So, anybody checked out Half-Life Steam environments? I've seen bits and pieces of a couple of videos, but I haven't really done it yet. Who was it? I think it was BMF. Posted a video of how you can work around, because that Half-Life environment is supposed to be exclusive to Valve Index owners, but people have found a way to get around that to see it with no matter which headset you're wearing. I think one way you can see the environment is anybody that has a Valve Index headset, they can invite you in there into that environment. But as far as if you don't get invited in there, there's other workarounds. And BMF posted a video because he did it from his Quest. So eventually I'll get around to trying to find out about how to do it. So, Great Tantrum. Sim racing on PC, it in spades. Plenty of them. As a racing gamer myself, I know I bet on the wrong horse, bought into PSVR, but I hope the PS5 will change that. You say it's highly detailed, Cold Yogurt? Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if again, if on the I guess speaking positively, if GT7 is launches day and date with the console, with the PS5, then yes, I will get it day one. And if the game is everything that I hope it is, that's where I'll be doing most of my racing, where I'll be doing most of my sim racing. As of right now, Project Cars 2 gives me what I want out of sim racing, and that's the ability to race against a full grid in VR, whether I'm online or offline. Now, I think the offline is a little bit not well put together. Maybe a best way I can put it. So yeah, I was motor mouthing it today because I was trying to say as much as possible before I get ready for the roundtable, because I think we're supposed to go on in about an hour, because the roundtable were asking if we're going to go on tonight, and Thrash said at 5 o'clock, which is 8 p.m. Eastern time. So that's another hour from now. So do check us out on the roundtable. I plan to be there unless I slip off into a damn nap and don't wake up till midnight again or something. I'm going to do my best to try to make sure I don't doze off so I don't miss this. That's been a big reason why I haven't been on the roundtable that much, is because once I get out of work, especially when I'm working a bunch of overtime, once I get home and I close my eyes, that's a wrap. I don't wake back up. I don't get back up till about 11 o'clock. At that point, all I can do is get up, eat, make my lunch for work tomorrow, and then go back to bed. Great Tantrum. It pissed me off right off when Project Cars 2, Assetto Corsa, first one, and Dirt 2.0 have no VR support on PS4. I think that's because of the limitations on the hardware. That is one of the problems that I was talking about, Great Tantrum. That was one of the things that I said the PSVR was lacking. Lack of first-person shooter games. The only real first-person shooter game that we have as of right now is Firewall. Lack of sim racers. The only racing game multiplayer that we have right now is Drive Club, and we already know how blurry that shit looks, and they're getting ready to shut the servers down. That's it. We're not, other than these games like other than these arcade games like touring carts and mini carts on dash whatever those games are, these Mario Kart type games, we're not going to get any Sims this generation. We're not. That's it. The closest we may get to getting a Sim on PlayStation VR is if the developer of Drive still is still going to release it this year. Because I played that game, and it was an alpha build that he sent me, and it was still something that needed work. But it was like an arcade sim in one. There was some sim aspects to the game, but a lot of it was drift racing. Drifting around corners and stuff like that. So if that game doesn't come to the PlayStation VR this year, then that's it. You're not getting any kind of sim racers until the PS5 comes out, and I assume that has to do with the limitations of the hardware. If digital polyphony, in my opinion, would have followed through with trying to put a VR multiplayer on GT Sport, one of two things, in my opinion, would have happened. It would have looked like dog shit, or it would have ran like dog shit. So that's what you got with Drive Club VR, to be brutally honest. It doesn't run bad, but it looks like shit. So that's it. And I truly believe that Slightly Mad Studios, if they would have been able to make it work on the PlayStation 4, I truly believe they would have put VR support on the on the PlayStation VR. Now, if Slightly Mad Studios is working on the next Project Cars, Project Cars 3 or something like that, then I think we'll see that on the PlayStation, on the PlayStation 5 with VR support. But if Project Cars 3 is like 3-4 years down the line, then when PS5 comes out, then I can see them adding VR support for Project Cars 2. But in the meantime, on this current hardware, no. I'm no tech guy, but the pattern is clear. The limitations, the hardware, limits what some of these developers can do. So I don't have to be a tech guy to know that we are lacking first-person shooter games, multiplayer games, and sim racers. So that's what drove me to PC. We do have Wipeout and other racers, but yeah, not Sims. I don't consider Wipeout as a racing game, but not a sim racer. I want sim racers. I want to be able to, like on Project Cars 2. You guys know, if you've been watching my streams, you guys know that I'm practicing on Circuit de la Sarthe for the 24 laps at Le Mans. And I've been driving the Ford GT. I want to know that if I was actually there at Le Mans and Ford said, go ahead, you can take this Ford GT around the track a couple of times. I want to have some idea of how I would have been able to drive that car. And VR gives me a feeling of how I think I could possibly do if I were actually in a car. I don't feel like that on Wipeout. What are the chances what are the chances that somebody going to say, here, take this spaceship and go around the corner a couple of times? You know what I mean? But it's a dream that would never happen, but I still feel a connection with sim racers. I still feel a connection like, hey, like when I'm driving a Ford GT, that this is the race version of the car, but I still feel a connection that, hey, that somebody can walk into a dealership and buy this car and test their skills on the track. Riyadh Dewan, you're right. Wipeout VR is fun, but one of the reasons why I kind of I played Wipeout. I believe I played it with a Joystick Guru. I believe I played it with him, and I might even played it with Gamertag before. I'm not sure, but I know for a fact that I played it with Joystick Guru. When I played Wipeout in VR, the first thing hit my head was this game looks great in VR and it runs great. Why can't they make this happen with the Sims? With the racing Sims. Why couldn't they make this happen with GT Sport? Why couldn't someone else, add VR support on these racing Sims? Great tantrum. Sony needs to realize that giving up exclusives and not making the best out of the hardware we have, PC is going to take over. A lot of things can happen between now and then. Sony needs to answer Oculus. But I've also said, great tantrum, that when the PS5 comes out, because of how much power it's going to have, there is going to be a flood of VR games, the third-party games, coming to the PlayStation 5, because there's a ton of games on PC right now that I bet developers would love to get over there and put it on the PlayStation VR format, but but because of the limitations of the console, they can't do it right now, and they're probably waiting for the PS5. With that being said, I have to be honest, because of how many third-party games that I think is going to come to the PlayStation VR format when the PS5 hits, you could make an argument that some people might feel like they won't need a PC because they'll have all the stuff they need on the PS5. But there will still be an advantage, though, of PC VR over PlayStation VR 2. And the advantage is modding and being able to play Oculus exclusives. Because unless Oculus plans to bring any of their games to the PlayStation 5, that's going to be the advantage of gaming on PC versus PlayStation VR. Why is Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC? I'd imagine because the game is dead, and Sony still wants to try to monetize the game. Because anybody, as far as this generation goes, anybody who wants this game already has it. Even the PC people who want this game already have it, because a lot of PC gamers already, in my opinion, already have a PlayStation. I don't think a lot of PC gamers have an Xbox, because once Microsoft started up that Play Anywhere shit where you could play, Xbox games on PC, it eliminated the need to need an Xbox, but you still needed a PlayStation to play their games. So because of that, I think there's a lot of PC gamers out there that still have PlayStations. With that being said, any PC gamer that wanted to play this game, Horizon Zero Dawn, already bought it a long time ago. So any PC gamer, in my opinion, that buys this game, there's a good chance they're going to be double dipping because they want to play the best version of this game with the highest resolution and the highest frame rate, because this game, I believe, ran at 1440 at 30 frames per second. But with this game coming to PC natively, I'd imagine they're going to be able to play the game in native 4K. And I don't know what the frame rate is going to be, but I wouldn't see why, me, 4K 60 is good enough for me. So, great tantrum. If Dreams VR is released tomorrow, I think we will all forget this chat. Haha. Us VR people will probably forget this. I mean, because as of right now, this news of Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC, especially for the casual VR people, it doesn't affect them because they probably not even aware of this. What I'm saying is the impact that it would have on the VR community is if somebody finds a way to mod this game. That's where this would affect the VR community, if somebody mods this game. So in that aspect, no. Um, this podcast that I'm having right now is barely a blip on the VR community's map. So in that aspect, you would be right. If Dreams VR were to release tomorrow, that would probably be the big topic. You said Dreams VR would be a game changer for real. I think that game eventually is going to go to PC now. I think it may not happen for a couple of years because, and as much as I'm not corporate slaving for Sony, but honestly speaking, I think Sony would be stupid not to send Dreams to PC. Because to me, I feel like Sony is using Dreams as a means to scout talent. I think Sony wants to hire some people, and Dreams is the perfect way for people to submit resumes through the work that they create on Dreams. I posted an article last week how somebody over in Europe already got a job with a VR developer because of the work they did on Dreams. So somebody already got a job through Dreams. And so I think every developer out there, flat screen and VR, is going to be watching Dreams. They're going to be watching what kind of stuff people are producing so they can get ready to hire some of these people, because you're going to be able to hire raw talent but may not have to pay them, top tier dollar for what somebody in that field would make. You might be able to get them in at minimum. If a job in that field starts at $60,000, you might be able to get them in at $60,000 instead of somebody who's been doing this shit for 15 years saying that you got to start me off at $100,000. I want a $10,000 signing bonus. I want a month's vacation. I want all benefits, all that kind of shit. But everyday people like you and me that might create something off of Dreams and we get a job, shit, we'll be doing a damn backflip to get a job with a Sony studio or something like that. And they start us off with, 60, 70 grand a year. Shit, we'll probably do a backflip. Great tantrum. Okay, if games are exclusives for a couple years, I'm fine with that. It means games are only on PS for a while first, which means you need a PlayStation to play them first for a while. I think that's the way it's going to start out. But this game right here could be the thermometer of what could happen down the road. Because if this game does extremely well on PC, then Sony may not make people wait 2-3 years to get their hands on these exclusives. So if this game falls flat on its face on PC, then who knows when we'll get another announcement from Sony. But if this game does extremely well on PC, like I said, don't be surprised if within the next year or so you hear about God of War, Spiderman going to PC. Excuse me, or Bloodborne. So, Code Yogurt, Dreams VR will be bananas once artists gets it. And so, to finish what I was saying about that, this game goes to PC, you really going to find out what people can do with it, because they're going to have a lot more power to work with because of the PCs that they have. The PCs are going to have a lot more power than the PlayStation 4. Now, don't get me wrong, the stuff that, I think when the VR support comes out for Dreams on the PlayStation 4, I have to be honest, I don't think you're going to see a lot of impressive stuff. I think if you see some stuff that people create that has really good graphics, it's going to be an environment. It's going to be an environment where you can just walk around and look at stuff. But a game where you can actually play it, you're not going to get that good at graphics, because if professional developers are handcuffed by the limitations of the PS4, you think any Tom, Dick, and Harry off the street is going to be able to do any better with Dreams? When they don't have the professional software and equipment at their hands that the VR developers have? That's why I was saying, if it goes to PC, and people, got powerful PCs at their disposal, that's when you're going to see some super, super talented shit if Dreams go to PC. He said, have Media Molecule ever released their games on PC? I have no idea. I mean, but it's hard to argue with the belief that if you already seeing some amazing shit on the PS4 from Dreams, imagine what you would see if that game went to PC. Dreams go to PC. I think several people are going to be getting some calls from developers. We saw your work on Dreams, and we'd like to know if you'd like to come in for an interview, all this kind of shit. You know, fly them out to California or whatever the case may be. So as far as the VR aspect of Dreams, yeah, I don't expect to see anything amazing. I think we're going to see some stuff that's creative, some very creative stuff, but I don't think we're going to see something where it's like, man, check this guy's game out, man. This game runs buttery smooth. It's got excellent graphics, that kind of shit. I don't think it's going to happen. Like I said, I think the only way you're going to see something out of Dreams VR that's going to have amazing graphics is if you have a situation where it's a home environment, where you walk inside a home that someone created, nothing moves. You can just walk around, but you cannot interact in the environment. You walk around in a kitchen that somebody created. It may look amazing, but you're not going to be able to open the refrigerator. You're not going to be able to open the cabinet. Fruit that might be sitting on the on the table, that might be as far as the interaction might go, where you might be able to pick up an apple that was sitting on the table and throw it or something like that. But I think that's as far as it's going to go. Cold Yogurt, I just finished playing Separation in PSVR. One guy did this, pretty good experience. I haven't really paid too much attention to that. I really haven't, because I hate that, honestly speaking, I think other than lo-fi and maybe I think the Covert Ops, I think that's the game that's like Splinter Cell when you're inside a kayak. I think other than those games, I'm looking for the big budget games that's coming this year. The Half-Life, the Iron Man, the Lone Echo 2, those games, probably, Sniper Elite VR, a Medal of Honor VR. Those are the kind of games that I'm looking for. He said there's physics in Half-Life environments. Yeah, that's to be expected. Look how good the game looks. Because this game, Half-Life is going to be the perfect combination of physics, graphics, and a great story. In my belief, I think Half-Life is going to be the total package as far as VR goes. I think this game has the potential to knock Lone Echo off the stool as far as best looking VR games that I've ever seen. It has a chance to it looks like it's gonna knock Boneworks or The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners off the stool as far as having the best physics and the most interaction in a VR game. In the story, I think it's gonna be a great story. So Half-Life is gonna be one of those I think it's gonna be worth the $55 or whatever that it costs. So we got 13 days. You said you went to some of those Half-Life environments. Cold Yogurt, do you have a Valve Index? I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, how were you able to go to some of those environments? Were you invited into some of those environments by someone that had a Valve Index? Were you did you find a workaround where you were able to go into those environments? Because I want to know, because I already pre-ordered Half-Life Alyx for my son. I already bought it for him a couple of days ago, and I'm getting ready to buy it for myself here either today or tomorrow. I went to a host with 27 people in Half-Life environment. Was janky and boggy. How do you go? Like, do you find that from like the Steam VR? Like the Steam VR home? Do you find it there, or? Oh, you have an index? Okay. Oh shit. Cold Yogurt, we are friends on Oculus or Steam, are we not? Because if we're not friends, you gotta add me so you can invite me to the environment because I definitely want to check it out. Okay, we're friends. You said the Steam home. That's how you. Okay, so look, let me do this again because I'm gonna put um, my Steam name. No PSVR. How does Dirt Rally VR look compared to PSVR versus Rift S? Um, uh, just a second, Great Tantrum. Um, there you go, right there, Cold Yogurt. The way you see it right there. Actually, here, let me do that. Let me do that again, because it's actually a capital K. Just a second. There we go, right there. It says if you purchase the game, you can see it in the Steam home. But I understand that's only if you got a Valve Index. The only way you can get in there is to be invited by someone that has a Valve Index, or there's a workaround that that you can do it that way. Great Tantrum, you said how does Dirt Rally VR look compared to PSVR versus I have not seen Dirt Rally on PlayStation VR. Um, I've seen Dirt Rally, and I think for the most part it's not bad. Um, no, it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. I mean, fact of the matter is, I've said it before. A game that's a flat screen game and it has VR support, it's a cold hard fact. The flat screen part of that game is going to look much much better than the VR part of the game. And the prime example of that is Ace Combat 7. The flat screen part of that game looks absolutely phenomenal. But the VR part of Ace Combat 7, there's a downgrade in graphics. It looks like something right out of the PS3. So that's kind of what you got with Dirt Rally, I believe. You know, and that's definitely the case with GT Sport. The game itself looks incredible, but the VR part of it, there's a little bit of a downgrade. The trees are not as detailed, that kind of stuff. Also, Cold Yogurt, that username that I just told you right there, that is my Steam name, and that is also my Oculus name. So I don't know if you have an Oculus headset or not, but that is also my Oculus name too. So as soon as I get done with this podcast, I will accept it. Damn, I'm hungry as fuck right now too. My stomach is absolutely rumbling. You said you don't need index. You can see it in the Steam home if you pre-order the game. So, all right. I mean, but yeah, I'm probably gonna go ahead and pre-order it here in a minute anyway. So, EJ, what is up? So I'll be ready to wrap this up here pretty soon because I don't know if we still gonna. All right, buddy, I'm heading out. Go eat. Yeah, I'll be ready to wrap this up in a few minutes. Plus, if we're gonna do the round table on time, we'll be ready to get going here probably in about a half an hour or so. You said you're on PC now? Okay, then I'll wrap this up in a few minutes, and accept that, and then I'll pop in there in a few minutes. So, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming. I really appreciate it. So wow, Sony set Twitter on fire with this news. So I'm not upset. I mean, I got a PC. Yeah, it is what it is. I'll go where the games is at. Just that simple. So, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I've been on an hour and a half, but I think I said quite a bit because I needed to try to squeeze as much of this into this podcast as possible. And I think today I did a pretty good job of saying what I wanted to say, but still keeping in touch with you guys in the chat. As always, appreciate it. Appreciate you guys chiming in. Now, with that being said, I'm going to boogie on out of here. Give y'all the old Wakandan salute, Wakanda forever. Even though my hands is all dry and ashy and shit. Go get some lotion after this. And I will holler at y'all later. Deuces.